Hey everybody, this is Rustin with Metalholic in the Examiner with us tonight. It's 9:30 in Germany. David Readman of Pink Cream 69 and Voodoo Circle. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing very well, very well. It's not that late here, but, it's quite cold in Germany at the moment, but we're looking forward to spring coming very soon.
Yes. And also, this spring or late winter here, 2 albums coming out from you. You've got the new Pink Cream 69 Ceremonial, the new Voodoo Circle. I want to talk about both of them a little bit, but there's so much to talk about. I don't even need questions. We could just do word association.
Okay.
But
I'm scared.
For those of us, for myself and a lot of people in the music industry, everybody's very familiar with who you are. But for a lot of people in America, because you've mostly been in Europe with a lot of European bands, Pink Cream 69, obviously, a lot of the other projects you've been involved with, you have one of rock's most soulful and incredible voices, but over here in the U.S., there just aren't that many people that know about you yet. So before we get to the bands and the new albums, if you could maybe give us a little backstory on your path to music, sort of that epiphany moment for you when you said, this is what I want to do, and some of your influences growing up, both vocally and musically.
Okay, where to start? Okay.
I was born a little child.
No, I was obviously very lucky to be born in a family that's definitely very musical. My grandmother played piano. My uncle played trombone, if that helps. My mother sings. My father also was not really a professional singer, but he could sing. Basically, I was forced until the age of 14 to go to church every Sunday. I mean, of course, looking back, it was a great thing. It was a nice, way to start a career as a singer. But at the time, it was something I didn't necessarily want to do. But it sort of gave me a good base, to find my way as a singer. Obviously, my voice broke at some point, and I remember the choir leader told me that I would be bass. I wouldn't be anything else. And I remember saying to myself, "No way, man! I'm going to be a tenor at least." And that was it, really. I think it sort of. I was playing guitar, playing in different bands. I ended up being a singer mainly, because there was no singers around at the time, and I just said, look, I'll sing until we find a singer, and that was it, really. I mean, I did a few gigs, people liked it, they wanted me to be in their band, and I'd say, look, I don't really want to, because I want to be a guitar player, I don't want to stand at the front with a mic and do all the business. And bit by bit I realized that that's probably where I should be going, and then I basically studied later on. I entered like a college basically to study guitar, but they realized real fast that I could sing a little bit and that I should sing Handel's Messiah solo in church about 6 weeks later, which was a bit strange. And I did that, and it sort of opened my world to singing, really, and to learn the bass that I did learn, not necessarily an opera bass, but just to sing correctly, with the technical side. And then I moved on to, funny enough, a lot of 70s stuff, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Paul Rodgers, Robert Plant, and of course, Mr. Coverdale.
Right. There's no getting away from that Coverdale vibe that you've got when you sing. I think your voice is just not taking away nothing from Mr. Coverdale himself, but you've got a little bit more soul and a little bit more purity to your voice, I actually believe. But it's always a delight to listen to you sing anyway. So we're excited that you've got the 2 new albums coming out. So but was there an album or something when you were growing up that was like the album that you just really turned you on to music?
Beatles. I was, a massive Beatles fan. My mother gave me a Beatles record. It was called With the Beatles, the second record, I suppose. And I listened to that record, right, front to back, and I realized at that point that that's what I wanted to do. Luckily a friend of mine had an old guitar in the attic, and we got some strings. We stringed it up. We learned House of the Rising Sun. And not even a Beatles song, because it was quite sort of complicated in respect. And that was it, really. It was nothing really vocally in that respect. The Beatles were obviously an amazing thing with harmonies and stuff like that, songwriting and stuff like that. But honestly, of course, it was probably the '87 record from Whitesnake that sort of turned me on to this sort of. At the time, I was 17, the right sort of age, and that sort of turned me on to this kind of rock, bluesy, soulful, whatever you want to call it, vocals. But of course, if I'm honest, it was probably a Chaka Khan record that I won one day that I listened to and thought, my God, what's that? But that probably did guide me more into the more soulful side,
Interesting. See, the stuff that you never knew, now you know. So, well, let's move forward. Pink Cream 69, and you've been with the band almost 20 years now. Ceremonial just came out. It's been 6 years since the last studio album, Intensity. Why so much time between albums?
Very good question. Time flies. You notice as you get older, it seems to just fly away. Yeah. It wasn't planned. We tried at least every year, every second year to make a record, but this time it took a lot longer. We had things. Of course, they left the band. Dennis does a lot of stuff, as you probably know,
right.
Producer. Yeah, everybody's just been so busy, and myself, not necessarily making records, even though I have made records in that time, but I also do a lot of live stuff. I prefer, that's very important for me, and I still love to make records. There's no doubt about that. I'm very lucky that I can still continue to do that. Just a time thing coming together. We quite often arrange dates to meet and discuss, making a new record, songs and stuff like that, and it just didn't happen. But it took until now, really, to finally, find a way to make a new record. We knew that everybody wanted to do it, but let's remember, the band has been around probably for about 25 years,
Right. So, and like you said, you've been involved with other stuff, and Dennis, of course, not just producing, but he did the Unisonic album last year. He's been involved with so many other things.
Yeah.
And when you and Dennis Ward, for those who aren't familiar, got ready to work on Ceremonial, besides making a great album, obviously, did you have any specific objectives in mind for this one?
I think it was sort of a combination of, we'd realized my voice had changed quite a bit over the time, and if even if I listen now to the, not necessarily Voodoo Circle, but the new Pink Cream compared to even Intensity or records before, my voice definitely has changed. Obviously, you get older, you're built in a different way, different sound, different ideas, different, and we knew that we wanted to, the songs should be lower. They should definitely show more, the warm side of my voice, the feeling thing should be more a part of it. And to be quite honest, we didn't really think that much, really. We just sort of, everybody came with their songs. I write, Dennis writes, Avi Koffler writes. We threw all the songs in. It could have been 30 or 40 songs. And then we sort of worked down to 12, 13, 14 songs that we felt were really good songs that would, come on the record. And I guess the vision of the sound was Dennis's thing. He's always known where the record's going to go, how it's going to sound. I think when I get the first mixes back, when we do the first mixes, it's sometimes a little bit shocking. It's kind of like, whoa, this is a bit different, or, and he had the vision for the sound, and he does every time. And I guess that's the way we work,
Well, was there a concept or something behind calling it Ceremonial?
Yeah, in a way. You're looking for a name for the record. It's definitely not an easy business. But to be honest, it was really just like the guitar player stood up. Once we'd had a meeting and said, "Look, we're going to do it. We're going to make a record." We're going to do it. We've got a certain amount of time and space. We've got to do it. This is going to happen this time. And he said, "Let the ceremony begin." And that's it, really.
Now, I had read at one point that there were going to be some special guests on the new album. And when I was reviewing it, I didn't get any gist of guests or anything. Did that ever come to pass? Or were they
No.
on it? Okay.
No. It was a thing we would have liked to have done. We've all got friends and people involved. It would have been nice to get somebody in and do this and that, maybe some extra names or whatever. But it just didn't happen. And I think we all felt that it wasn't really important. It would have probably just, at the end of the day, maybe been a way to, to try and bring in an extra something, but we felt we just didn't need it, I guess.
I was gonna say, having listened to the album and everything, you certainly didn't need it. But now this, as you mentioned, this is the first album with your new drummer. Did that change the recording dynamic at all, having somebody else behind the kit?
I think it did, definitely, but we shouldn't forget. I mean, someone like Chris Smith knows Costa very well. He roaded for him for many years, and knew the songs from back to front. But he's definitely a different drummer. He's more of a. He's actually a big Motley Crue fan, to be honest, and I think what he did he simplified a lot of things and made it a little bit more straighter. A lot of things. I mean, at the end of the day, where we work is by the time even Costa or Mr. Smith played the drums, everything's finished. That's how we've worked for the last few years. Basically, a drummer played at the last. Basically, before the drummer maybe play on his own or to some rough pilots or whatever, but basically we've worked for the last few years where he's sung, he's played drums to my final vocal, the final guitars, so it's a good feeling, and that's the way we've done it for the last few years. And
it's sort of funny when you think about it, because people who don't go in the studio and don't record albums and aren't that familiar with it, you would almost think that the drums are the foundation from where you start, but so.
Well, yeah, that's again the vision of what Dennis has got. I know that he went in the studio. It was his first record. He was probably excited. He probably wanted to do this and that, whatever. But Dennis, he's a producer and said, "Look, this is where we want to go. This is what we're looking for." And that's a way that in that way that the whole record ties together.
Right, and keep it simple and everything. So. Are there one or two tracks on Ceremonial that perhaps speak more loudly to you personally than others?
Definitely Special, and The Tide.
Why those two?
Special is a special song.
Yeah, it's the one that always gets stuck in my head. So.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of reasons. Basically, it was really difficult for me to record. To be honest, I wanted it to be really so good and really cool and everything. And it took me a long time to master this song. To really get it down, to be really happy with it. It was an emotional thing, to be honest. And now when I listen back to it, I can listen to it, but it took time to be able to get over this. This wasn't just like record it there, next, whatever. And also the subject matter, about Facebook, about social networking, the whole thing. It's quite a topic. I mean, I'm on Facebook, I can't get away from it. But Facebook for me is like one of these things, it's good and it's also really bad, But
right.
And a song like Tide, also same kind of vein. It's also a Dennis Ward wrote both songs. I mean, I wrote a few songs. I'm not necessarily going to mention my songs, but yeah, two very strong songs. A little bit modern edge, but still the Pink Cream thing, I think.
Right. And a fan had sent me a thing asking me to ask this question. Obviously, you weren't around at the very beginning of Pink Cream 69, but despite the fact that I've been listening to you guys for years, I don't even know the answer to this. So I'll go ahead and ask on behalf of our fan, where did the name Pink Cream 69 come from?
Okay. Well, obviously, I've actually answered this about
probably 1,000 times.
Well, yeah, but about 30 minutes ago on the other interview. But funny enough, this is definitely a name that hasn't stood the test of time, unfortunately. And you can imagine when the band kicked off, God knows, I don't know, 25 years ago, it was a name that was okay, Bands like Poison were running around, even though that still works today, There was some strange names running around. And, any English-speaking country, of course, here's, Pink Cream 69 and thinks, well, what is this, I mean, it could mean anything, couldn't it, It definitely sounds like fun anyway. But it's a cocktail. Basically, the band went out one night. They were drinking a few drinks, and they were in quite a famous hotel in Karlsruhe. And one of the cocktails was called Pink Cream 69, and that's the reason.
Well, there you go. So, all right. So, Voodoo Circle, obviously, you've got the new album coming out there, More Than One Way Home, which has a lot of that David Coverdale Whitesnake vibe. Certainly the last album did, and what I've heard of this one so far seems to. Besides being a track on the album, is there any significance to the title of that one?
Oh God. Now you've asked me a question, man. Oh God. I mean, this is with Voodoo Circle. It's a very personal thing. I mean, Alex. It says Alex Byrod's Voodoo Circle. No, I mean that was something that was definitely really important for the first record. It was definitely his baby, but these days it's definitely we're definitely not a project anymore. We're definitely a band that we enjoy working together with each other, and. He pulls the reins. He's still, kind of not the big boss. I mean, I do what I want. I do whatever I want on these records, which I really enjoy. I record the vocals, send them in, maybe change this a little bit, whatever. And, but generally speaking, I do what I want. And he came up with a title. And I just think that, to be honest, I never asked him. I never asked him what it really meant, but I just think it's what it says, There's more than there's more than one way to finally come home, and I think I connect it with the music to sort of come back to where, in a way, how I started back then to listen to whatever Whitesnake or Led Zepp or, and I think that's what he's trying to say, but I'm going to ask him tonight.
There you go. Listen, I got asked a question today. I mean, so with Pink Cream 69, you and Dennis are the driving creative force. I know the other guys write as well, but it's primarily you two putting it all together. In Voodoo Circle, much of it revolves around Alex. How much do you get involved in the songwriting for Voodoo Circle, or at least putting the songs together?
Well, basically, as you said, I mean, it's still an Alex thing. Alex Byrod thing, but fact of the matter is, he creates the what do you call a skeleton of a song, the verse, bridge, refrain, the ideas. He makes demos, and then basically I turn up, and that's what we've been doing, and it's worked really well so far, really easy. I get a SM58, plug it in, and he'll just say, "Look, do something," and I'll sing something, yeah, that's cool, what about this and whatever, and we'll work on this and we should go like this, and then I'll make some kind of lyrics up or whatever, and just on the spot, and then we'll move to the refrain. I'll think, no, we need more, something like this or whatever, and the rough demos are rough, the pre-production, right. It's like a sketch, and that's what we'll do most of the time, so it's like it's a combined thing, and but I think on this record, I actually did a lot at home. Plugged in the mic, just sang something, and then found something I like, the direction. And the great thing about working that way is when you just do something, is that it's so natural. It's not created. It's not like, oh, we need this or that, whatever. It's just it just comes from somewhere, and it's probably the best way that my voice works also. And that's what I enjoy about that band, that's for sure.
Beautiful. And it's often said that a band really finds their sound on the third record, which this is the third record for Voodoo Circle. Does the new record feel like a continuation of the previous two for you, or is this a growth from them?
I think it's all that, to be honest. It's a continuation. What we've kind of done in a way, we've sort of moved through time a little bit, for me, the last record was definitely more sort of early, late 70s, also with the sound. And I think with this one, we've sort of like ventured slightly on quite a bit into the 80s, and also, finding the right sort of direction, where to go, for the band exactly. And I think we've definitely found that way, with this record. What the next record will be like, I don't know, but I definitely feel good about both records. No doubt about that. I recorded both records at the same time last year, which was for me a big deal. Recording 28 songs.
Well, you can't get away from this with Voodoo Circle. As a matter of fact, I think I even said it myself in my review last year or the year before of the last album, Broken Heart Syndrome, that it's you guys, Voodoo Circle is like creating the best Whitesnake albums since Slide It In. Does it bother you to get that much of a comparison to the Whitesnake vibe?
No, it doesn't bother me, of course not. Yeah, I mean that's not what we're trying to do, of course. You know, I think I even saw a review somewhere where some guy wrote, you know, well, he doesn't see the point of a Voodoo Circle band. But you know, there's so many artists out there that's been sort of celebrating certain styles and sounds for a long time. You know, and you know, people don't have a problem with it. You know, we just enjoy it. We just enjoy that kind of thing. And to be honest, I mean, I've thought to myself, you know, why? I mean, I don't go in the studio and think, oh, I'm going to sing like Coverdale now, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing that kind of thing or some way in that sort of direction for a long time. And just with this kind of music, it just, you know, with this, if you go a little bit more like this and the bluesy edge and stuff like that, it just works, you know, let's be honest. And,
right.
and I had my tonsils out after the last Voodoo Circle record, and I believe since then it you know, it could have been an absolute disaster. I couldn't sing anymore, but my voice changed. It got somehow deeper, and something happened. I don't know what I can't really explain what it was, you know, and just ended up sort of going in that sort of direction, and you know, I actually played. I mean, I can't deny, I do like a bit of Whitesnake, even the newer stuff, to be honest, and seen them a few times live. I played last year with Doug Aldrich and the band from Whitesnake. We actually we jammed here in Karlsruhe in Germany. They happened to be in the area, and we did 4 or 5 Whitesnake songs. It was really great, you know. There's no denying that, you know. But that's not what I'm out to do, you know. I'm not out to sort of like try and make David Coverdale or whatever, you know what I'm saying? It's just what I do, you know. And I'm from England as well. You know, maybe there's something in the water, you know.
Yeah, well, your voice is what your voice is. So I'll repeat the same question I asked you before on the Pink Cream album. Are there 1 or 2 tracks on the More Than One Way Home album that speak perhaps more loudly to you than the others?
Oh, definitely what we call our single, you know, the Cry for Love.
Right.
The song More Than One Way Home and Heart of Babylon.
And those ones, why?
Well, More Than One Way Home, it's like, I mean, yeah, I listened to that song and I remember at the time recording it was quite an emotional thing, getting it down. It went real easy. I probably recorded it in about 15 minutes and just went in, did my thing, and it worked, you know. The new single, the Cry for Love, also a song that we created, working with Alex, was done in 15 minutes. You know, it was real easy, and we knew where we wanted to go. Quite often, the better songs. You know, Heart of Babylon, also very strong song, I believe, very emotional, very very big sounding theatrical song, and also a song that I had a break while I was teaching one day, and decided to get a vocal idea down, and another song that I did in like 15-20 minutes, you know, and you know, I'm not saying like I need to save any time or anything, but it's quite often the songs that just happen, you know, it's just there, rather than the songs that so much time to finish, you know.
Right.
And
they're more organic when they come like that, you know.
Yeah, and they're just songs that really stand out for me. But I've listened to both records a lot, you know,
nice.
Which does take time, you know. I think to be able to listen to yourself, you know.
Right. Well, I've only heard the Pink Cream so far. I haven't gotten my copy yet of the new one from Voodoo Circle, so I'm so looking forward to that. If it's anything like the last album, I know it's going to be wonderful. It's been 10 years since the sort of rock opera thing, Miss Mercuria. I can't even get it out. Will there ever be a follow-up to that?
To be honest, you're asking the wrong person about that, unfortunately. I can tell you that Dennis probably definitely don't know. I certainly don't know. That's it, really. It was good to be involved, but I've heard nothing since, to be honest.
David, before we leave, famous last words?
Famous last words. Keep listening to the music and, you know, buy some music sometimes.
David Readman of Pink Cream 69 and, of course, Voodoo Circle as well, and the many other projects you get your fingers in. Hopefully we'll get to see you out doing some touring this year with your various projects. The 2 new albums, great stuff. Thanks so much for taking the time to share with us, and we'll look forward to talking with you next time.
Thank you very much. Enjoyed it very much indeed.
Take care.